Hi y'all, my name is Deidra. You're watching ShadeTree Reads. It has been a really long time and I think I'm going to catch you guys up on what I've been doing this whole time since I think March was the last time I posted a video. But for right now, I'm going to do part one of a haul that is a long time coming. I was supposed to do this I think in May, but here we are. Here we are, and we're at this little pond I found. There are some geese trying to make their way over here. We're gonna pray that they just leave me alone. I don't have no bread, ain't got no seeds. But if I cut and run, you know what happened. Okay, so this first part is going to be books that I have already read since purchasing the books. And some of these I've read since May of this year, or March of this year. Other ones I have read before and I just repurchased the copy. So the first ones I have are manga, and it's volume 1 and volume 2 of Black Butler. I read this in March, I think. No, in May for Manga May. I just made that up. Anyways, this is about what's the name of the house? The Phantom Hive clan or family. And the first volume is mostly about introducing us to the family and to Sebastian. And then the second volume is we get to learn a little bit more about, what's his name, Ciel? I think you pronounce it Ciel. It's C-I-E-L. But Ciel. Anyways, the second volume we get to learn a little bit more about Ciel and his life. And I think I've also read the third volume, but I don't own it. So I look forward to continuing with this. I want to watch the anime eventually, but I got these two. Then the next one I want to talk about is a book by Neil Gaiman. He's one of the two white men that I will read from. It's him and Rick Riordan. But I read the Anansi Boys, which is sort of, it's not a sequel per se, but it's a follow-up. And these geese keep getting closer, and I want to be left alone, dog. I've been in my car for a solid 30 minutes, and they were nowhere near here. Now they're all over here. I'm gonna get in my car. We'll continue with the Nazi Boys. Right when I got in the car, somebody pulled up to feed all these geese. Can y'all see that? I done already gathered all my stuff and got in the car, but I should be safe now. They're distracted, but damn. I briefly talked about these. Black Butler Volume 1 and Volume 2. We were talking about the Anansi Boys, or is it Nancy? I think it's a Nancy. The Nancy Boys by Neil Gaiman. And I only end up buying this because I knocked it off the shelf and I damaged the cover. And I was feeling bad about it, so I went ahead and bought it. Oh, there's two cranes or herons. Let me see if I can get shot. See them? Well, you probably can't see them. They went behind the table. It is, I'm going to call it the follow-up novel to American Gods. It's not really a sequel. We don't talk about any of the characters or players from American Gods in this one, but I really enjoyed this. I especially enjoyed the author's note in the back, where he mentions that he consulted with Nalo Hopkinson and Linworth Henry, trying to get some of the Anansi folklore and mannerisms and some of the speech cadence down. So this is about this character named Fat Charlie, who leads basically an ordinary life until his mother dies. And he really never had a very good relationship. No, yeah, his mother was in the hospital, and the day and the night that she was in the hospital before she died, his father, whose name is not on here, but his father comes by the hospital. They hadn't been in a relationship together or anything like that in a while, but his father comes by and they sort of have a chat, and he says like an offhand comment under his breath, and he ends up meeting his brother named Spider. And if you know anything about Anansi, you know that is a spider god, a trickster god. Anyway, so it goes on from there, and it's sort of a coming of age of sorts. It's really good. I enjoyed it. If you like Neil Gaiman's writing, you will really enjoy this. The audiobook, I forgot who narrated, but I enjoyed that. I hybrid read this. Going back to another manga, I got volume 7 and 8 of Food Wars. I have been in love with this series for a minute. Ashley is the one who introduced it to me, Ashley from Bookish Realm. And there's not a whole lot to talk about in between these two volumes. It's a bit of setup for volume 6 was a competition, and then 7 and 8 is building up for the fall classic, and then part of the fall classic happens, and along with some other like little side stories and a little bit of filler, but a lot of this is just set up for the next competition for this culinary school, but I don't remember what it was, because I think I read these back in like April, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, I got Food Wars volume 7 and 8, and I've already read these. They were wonderful. Another novel that I got was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I got this to participate in a project with Erica from The Broken Spine, and we haven't nailed that down, but that should be coming soon. I have my arguments written down and together. I just haven't put it on film yet, or digital film. But anyway, so I bought this to participate in that project with Erica, and this is basically about a little girl named Piccola who wants to be seen as pretty. That's what she wants. That's the thing that she wants the most in life. And she's a very dark complexion child, and I think that she feels bad about that, because I think this is set in the very early 1900s. It's copyrighted 1970, but I forget exactly when this is set. Okay, so this is 1941, which I don't remember exactly off the top of my head when Jim Crow was, but I'll put a little annotation across the screen when Jim Crow laws were heavily enforced. But yeah, so if you think about a little dark-skinned black girl in the 1940s and what they would think would be the standard of beauty you can kind of sort of understand where the title came from. But yeah, I don't want to say too much so I don't give away the project that Erica had set up and had us do. But yeah, I enjoyed this, and this is I'm not sure what other, oh, I read Beloved. Beloved was the first Toni Morrison that I'd ever read, and I read it at a young age, and it really messed me up. But as an adult reading this for the first time, it also messed me up. I enjoyed it. I love Morrison's writing. It's very poignant, and it's very, sis could turn a phrase, couldn't she? She could turn a phrase. Okay, I got another manga. Again, I bought this in April, I think, and it's called Night of the Ice. This is the first volume. I bought this because I thought it was gay, and it's not. I might have figured that out from the back, but I think I thought this was his sister or something. But and I don't remember reading the synopsis. Anyways, this is about this guy who is a really great and outstanding skater, ice skater, figure skater, and he sort of gets his powers through this girl. I forget her name. And in this first volume, we didn't really we weren't told how she got her powers and how they come to realize that she can, like, give him the juice. But he learns that he needs her, and she's got a whole career and a job outside of him, and just this whole thing. And she doesn't, none of his coaches and stuff want people to know that she, you know, they go in the locker room and she says her little spell, and he has all of a sudden these great skating powers. But so the coaches and his mentor and chaperone don't want the public to know about her, so she can't tell her boss, but she still needs to travel for his different competitions and stuff. And it was just cute. It was really cute. I probably will get the second volume and then decide from there if I want to continue, because I think there's about 8 volumes in this particular manga series, and it's by Yayoi Agawa. Another manga that I got, the only good book club was reading manga, only whatever manga we could get. We voted on a bunch of them, and I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but this one, The Way of the House Husband, was one that won. And I had just personally decided to read all the ones that got a vote. And this was one of them. I think this is the one that actually won the poll, but I read the other ones that I already mentioned as well. This one I didn't like that much. It had a wonderful premise, which is this guy here, he was the fiercest member of the Yakuza, but he gave it all up to become a house husband, and his wife straight up makes the money, and he's just supposed to cook and look pretty, basically. But it was just way too episodic. Like, it was super duper short each chapter. Not a lot happened. You didn't get much explanation, no backstory. I don't remember finding out why he left the Yakuza to become a house husband, and it was just okay. The art style is not really my flavor. I wonder if the anime is better than the manga. I bet it is. I bet it comes across a bit better in action. Anyways, The Way of the House Husband. Okay, another manga I didn't like was Beauty and the Feast by Satomi Yu. I thought this was gonna be a cute little cozy manga, but it ended up being kind of gross. This boy here is in college. No, he's a high school baseball player. It's even worse. But it's the type of school that has dorms and stuff. So something happened to his family, and he's really I think he's on scholarship to the school. He's really just fending for himself, and he lives in the building with the girl who is Shoko. It's a dragonfly. Shoko is her name, and she had recently lost her husband or whatever, so she's lonely in this apartment building where this guy doesn't have very much family. He lives there and goes to school and stuff, but he's not very good at caring for himself, I guess you could say. And so she starts to sort of like leave him meals and stuff, and he eventually starts coming over to her house for her to cook for him, because she likes to cook, but she doesn't really have much zest for life or whatever. And it just got kind of predatory. I didn't like it. It made me uncomfortable, because I think she's a good like 10 or 15 years older than him, and they sort of went on dates and stuff. I don't know. I was uncomfortable for the last 40% or so. I didn't like it. But the animation, I mean the illustrations were nice. The story could have been better. I'm just not real sure why she had to be so much older than him. If she was going to be bringing him picnic baskets to practice, and they were going to be in the park, and she was going to be I don't know. I didn't like it. This novel, The Stars and the Blackness Between Them, I read this book when it first came out in 2019. This is by Janata Petrus. I think she hyphenates her last name now, and I will put that on the screen if I'm correct. But this is about two girls, Audrey and Mabel, who Audrey is basically sent to live with her father in Minnesota after her mother catches her kissing a girl when she's supposed to be in church. And so her mother sends her to live with her in the States, and I forget, they're in Trinidad. Her mother and Audrey are in Trinidad, and she sends Audrey to live with her father in Minnesota. And then Mabel's in Minnesota, and their parents are friends, and so that's how they meet. And they end up sort of falling in love. This is a love story more than a romance. I love this with my whole heart when it came out and when I first read it. I want to reread it. I do think all the criticisms that Trinidadians have mentioned about the dialect being antiquated is legit. And I mean it's homophobia, and there's some dialect, they speak in dialect at some points, and they say even that is antiquated. Nobody speaks like that anymore, if ever. So those are completely valid, and I acknowledge those. I'm not Trinidadian, so I didn't know any of that going in. I didn't catch it the first time. I only caught that when reviews start coming out. Anyways, but I really liked this. I liked all the astrology interludes in between. I thought the ending was weird, but I think it was perfect. I think it fit very well with this book and sort of the tone that Petrus set for this book. The Stars and the Blackness Between Them. Loved it a lot. You should read it if you haven't already. I got Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Me and Ashley were supposed to read this together at some point earlier in the summer, and both of us sort of either forgot or life just got in the way. But I remember this being a favorite book. I think this is the only book, or the second book, or the first book that I've reread or read more than once. I'm not really a rereader. I see the value in it now, the older I get, but I am not a rereader really. But I want to reread this again as an adult, because I remember enjoying this so much. And it's one of those things that anytime the movie came on, I'll put a poster of the live action or the movie that I prefer. I think there's like 3 versions of it, but I'll put a poster like over here of the movie that I prefer to watch. Whenever it came on TV back in the day, I would watch it no matter if it was only 10 minutes left or it started from the beginning. I just loved it, and I love this story. And I think that Mara from Books Like Whoa did a really good video essay about the ending of this book, and I'll link that above so you can check it out. But this is a classic. It was published when? This is a 2020 edition. I'm hoping I can get... Oh, they have a timeline of Charlotte Bronte's life in here. So this was published in October 1847 originally. So yeah, Jane Eyre. 2 more books left. So this is Root Magic by Eden Royce. This is about, what's the little girls? Jezebel and Jay, they're brother and sister, they're twins, in South Carolina. Yeah, they're in South Carolina in 1963 in this book, and it's about Jezebel learning root magic basically and trying to help protect her family after her grandmother dies, which is like in the first, that's how we open the book. Her grandmother has passed away, and they're trying to continue to protect the house and protect themselves and protect their property and their livelihoods with root magic. And it's the story of how Jezebel learns it and deals with people making fun of her for being a root worker, her family being root workers. It's a debut novel. I think I gave this 4 stars because it read a little bit younger than I was anticipating. Like it is a middle grade, and I knew that going in, but it just read a little bit younger than I was anticipating. I still think it was really good, but yeah, it is what it is. I enjoyed it, but I did take off a little bit just because it felt a little too young for the subject matter, just a tiny bit, and that's so subjective. But anyways, Root Magic by Eden Royce. And the last book that I am going to talk about in this haul is a book that the bookseller just totally, he was like, oh, you're looking for this and you're looking at that and you're looking at this, I think you'll like this book. And that is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. Y'all, this book surprised the hell out of me. I have never read anything by this author before. It's one of my friends, the one friend that I talk about all the time on this channel. It's their favorite author, and I didn't know that until after I read this, but I really freaking enjoyed this. This is about Clara, who is an artificial friend, basically a robot companion, and she it follows her from the point of being, I guess, turned on and in the store to the point that she finds her friend, and family. And it's the story of how they get along and how their life goes after she gets to go home with them, and things that goes on in her friend's life. I forgot her human friend's name. They don't tell me. But anyway, she does eventually, not that far into the book, but she does eventually get taken home with a child, and we learn about their friendship and stuff. So if you've never read Kazuo Ishiguro, you should probably start with his first or his previous novel, Never Let Me Go. That's the one that I'm hearing the most people really enjoy. I haven't read it yet, but I do plan to. This would probably work for sci-fi. It's kind of sort of fantasy, but really it's like near future sci-fi, I feel like, without space travel. So if you needed to fulfill a prompt with without space travel for some kind of sci-fi readathon, this would be a good one. Okay, y'all, that is gonna do it for part 1 of my haul from books that I have gotten since my last video, which is March of 2021. I hope to see y'all very soon. I'm gonna try to edit this and get this up. I really want to have like 3 or 4 videos on my channel before we start with Black Halloween-a-thon, which starts October 1st. We're gonna have a live show or 2 to try to catch up and for me to wrap up all the books that I've read since the last time we talked about it. And I just want to start back making videos, back making content. I can't even tell y'all succinctly right now how things have been and why it's taken me so long, but just forgive me and thank you for forgive me and thank you for sticking with me. If you're still around, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, or at least consider it. Check out some of my older videos. I plan on making new content like I just said, and wear your sunscreen, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.